Do you know about your health? Do you know about your body? Do you know what to do and how to do it health-wise? Can you live a healthy life? Can we have healthy children? This is not a luxury, you've got to know health-wise. This is health-wise. This is health-wise. This is health-wise. Hello Lagos, hello Nigeria. I am Adeshegun Temitope. I welcome you today on HealthWise. We'll be discussing waste management. Stay tuned and do not touch that dial. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today I have two amazing speakers. I have Dr. Almaz Eric Brown. She is a resident family physician, Federal Medical Center, and also a medical officer at the Green Cauldron. And of course, she's a medical consultant at Lafitte's Gym. Thank you for coming, Dr. Brown. And also the executive producer of two wellness shows, Tips for Healthy Living and the Dr. Kesh Show. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you. Now, Dr. Brown, I'll start with you. What exactly is waste management?
Well, weight management can be simply defined as trying to strike a balance between intake of calories or fuel or food and expenditure of energy. Trying to strike such a balance that you maintain your health without, tipping the scale on either side.
So I'm sure Dr. Nkechi, you want to add something to that?
I think essentially she said it, because really your weight, whatever it is that you weigh, is, a delicate balance between what you're taking and what you give out. And so if you're eating more than you're expending, and expending means do you participate in activities and exercises and all of that. If you're taking more than what you're losing, then essentially you're going to be fat. If you're exercising more than what you're eating, then essentially you're going to be very skinny. So if there's a right balance, then you are the right weight.
So as a nutritionist, what exactly is the role of a nutritionist in weight management?
What's the role of a nutritionist? A nutritionist is somebody who is well-versed, who understands the science of food, understands the relationship between food and what it does in the body, how it helps the body and all of that. And so a nutritionist is really very important, when we're talking about weight management, but even without a nutritionist, every person, every lay person ought to have the information as to what I can eat, how I can eat it, how much of it to eat, just so that my weight can be known.
So how important is weight management, Dr. Brown?
Well, apart from the fact that you feel good, you're able to carry yourself well, weight management is important because the heavier you are, the more at risk you are to certain diseases, certain types of injuries, and certain types of discomfort. So it is important that you maintain your weight.
Well, I would like to ask you, is it determined by your body structure, or is there any other definition to that?
Yes. Well, first of all, genetics cannot be played down. Okay. If your parents are tall, you'll be tall. If your parents are short, you'll be short. But even when you are short, there is a range of weight you are supposed to maintain. Tipping the scale, like I said, will tip you into, having higher risk for some diseases and all of that. If you are underweight, it's also a problem. So it is important that, you maintain this.
So let's talk about factors majorly that affect an individual's weight.
Okay, what are those things that would affect an individual's weight? Talking about, I would like to focus mainly on lifestyle factors. Because lifestyle factors are the ones that you can actually determine. If you're born into a family where people are already fat, there's really nothing you can do about it. You were born that way. So, but if we're talking about lifestyle factors, then we can, focus on that. Now, lifestyle factors would essentially focus on what kind of things to eat, how much of it to eat. I also like to say, how do you even eat those things?
Okay.
So for instance, when we say, what should you eat? Everybody has heard, I'm sure it's not news, focus a lot on fruits and vegetables.
Yes.
Now, everybody says, is that sustainable? Can I eat that and be okay? Can I eat that and be satisfied? But it is actually very sustainable. Now, when I'm saying vegetable soup, I'm not talking about soup that has been fried, refried, and fried yet again in loads of oil. We're talking about vegetables in as raw a state as possible, so you don't cook them for too long. And then you have a quarter of that plate for the swallow, whatever it is that you're going to eat. Let's say something like oatmeal. Your regular oats, you can actually grind them and use them to make your swallow. And then you have your fish or your meat in the other portion. So essentially, what should you eat? More fruits, more vegetables. The focus is also on complex carbohydrates.
Okay.
We have different types of carbohydrates. We're talking about oatmeal. We're talking about, things like plantain, the unripe plantain. We're talking about, stuff like that, your whole wheat bread and things like that. So these are the things that make more sense. And why do you want to eat them? Because when you eat them, because they have a lot of fiber, it stays in your stomach for quite a while, and it keeps you feeling full for a longer period of time. So as opposed to when you take those pastries and immediately after that, you're hungry again. Yes, so then how much of it should you eat? We've already talked about the different portions. And then how should you eat it? Now, this is something that's also, evolving in medicine, but some studies have actually suggested that when people eat way too fast, because it does take a while for the signals from your stomach to get to your brain, telling your brain that, hello, we're full, we don't need to eat anymore. And so when you eat your food way too fast, you don't have time to get that signal. So before you know it, you're already stuffed. And you didn't need to eat that much. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for the signals to travel from the stomach to the brain to say, hello, we don't need to eat anymore. And so when you finish your food in like 5 minutes, you finish like a full basin, a whole bowl of something, then you're already stuffed. So you move from being very hungry to feeling, I'm stuffed. There was no in between. I feel okay. So these are some of the things, that will determine, and of course, ensure exercise. We can't take away the role of exercise when we're talking about weight management, because essentially, even if you're eating right, people ask me, can you lose weight even if you don't exercise? Absolutely you can. That's the truth, because if you're not taking in so many calories, if you're watching what you eat, you can lose weight. But exercise is important, because apart from the fact that it also helps with the weight loss, exercise is also important because it gives you a strong heart. So these are some of the things.
Yeah, now there's something I got from what you've been talking about. Like, you talked about two different things, like two varieties of food that we should eat. Instead of the regular bread, we should eat with bread. Instead of the regular rice, we should do the ofada rice.
The local rice.
I would like to ask Dr. Brown, how affordable are these?
Amazingly, you'll be surprised. The problem is that we have become westernized in everything. Okay. Once you put on the TV, you're seeing all kinds of funny rices and basmati rice and brown rice and pink rice and red rice. And because of that, we become confused. But you see, amazingly, God has placed us in the part of the country where we need the nutrients that grow here. So you do not really need to eat basmati rice to lose weight. You don't really need to eat red rice to lose weight. Our local rice, ofada, the Abakaliki rice, like she said, it is unpolished. Because it's unpolished, it takes longer for it to digest.
And are they accessible easily?
They are very much accessible. Everybody's afraid, oh, there are stones. But amazingly, Nigerians are very innovative now. We now have machines that can pick out the debris from rice, make it easy to cook, but they are very well, most accessible, yes, most of them are.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown and Dr. Nkechi. I'm sure viewers at home, studio audience, you've been learning so much, and we're still on HealthWise. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. This is HealthWise. If you're just tuning in, we've been discussing with management. I have here with me Dr. Nkechi and Dr. Brown. Now, Dr. Nkechi, let's talk about the most important meal of the day.
Okay. The most important meal of the day, and everybody has heard that, is breakfast. But why is breakfast so important? The reason is because it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. And so you have some people who are like, oh, I'm so busy, I don't have enough time, I'm just going to race out. But what happens is that they get to the office or wherever it is that they go to, they get caught up in the day's activities, and then at a point they just realize, guess what, I'm really hungry. And then at that time, they really don't have the time to take something that is healthy, something that is nutritious, something that makes sense. And so what do? They reach for the next sugar-filled snack or sugar-filled drink, and that sets the tone for the day. Because the thing with those snacks is that you take it, and you know, the body is such an efficient machine. Immediately, it takes up all that sugar that has been put into the bloodstream, straight into the cells, and in the next few minutes, the person is hungry again. And so it starts a vicious cycle of, I've just had a pie, I've just had a drink, I want another one. So breakfast is so important, and make sure that it's a nutritious breakfast. Even if you're in a hurry, grab a bowl of cereal or something, or even put it in a takeaway pack and take it in the office.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Now, Dr. Brown, let's talk about the difference between underweight, overweight, and obese.
Now, like I said before, your genetics has a lot to play. If your parents are big, you'll be big. If your parents are small or skinny, you'll be skinny. But science has been able to help us to, you know, differentiate into categories, making you know that, because when you try to differentiate people's weight size, it tends to help you to delineate people who are at risk of disease and who are not at risk of disease. Now, we also remember that WHO has said that everything is about prevention. So it is, those categories are made so that we'll be able to know early those who are going to be sick or those who are not going to be sick. Now, we have people who are underweight. People who are underweight are people who have the basic metabolic index of less than 25.
Wow.
Now, the BMI, the basal metabolic index, is just a scale used to measure people's weights, then places you in the category, like you said, underweight, normal weight, and overweight. So people who have a BMI of less than 25 are called they are underweight. People who have a BMI of 25 to 29.9 are normal weight. But if your BMI is above 30 to 35, you're obese. Above 35, we still have people like that. Above 35.
Let me come in here, ma'am. Let me come in here. Without going to the hospital to find out, how do you know if you're underweight, overweight, or obese?
It's a very simple calculation.
Okay, fine.
All you have to know is your height, in meters, and your weight in kilograms. So if you have your weight in kilograms, divide it by, you know, your height times 2, and then you get your BMI. It makes it so much easier.
So at what point exactly does an individual become overweight?
You become overweight when you exceed your body mass index, your body mass index of over 30. So the basic point is to know what your ideal weight is. Your ideal weight can be found from a chart. You go to the hospital, go to a nutritionist, they'll be able to find what your ideal weight is for your height. Because a lot of people think that because they are skinny, they are okay. Other people think, oh, and then there's this theory of, I have big bones, and because you think you have big bones, you have the right to be fat. No. But the truth of the matter, you have to know your ideal weight. And there's also a range, keeps you out of, you know, problem. Because once there's a range, you know that I'm going above this range, I'm going below the range, which means that from time to time you have to keep weighing yourself. Like Dr. Ketch actually said, that there are a lot of starchy foods in our diet, and honestly, we eat too much. Nigerians, we eat, our portion sizes are huge. So because of that, people tend to lose sight of the fact, I just want to have lunch, I want to have dinner. But you find out that if you're checking your weight, for instance, my ideal body weight should be about 89, between 87 and 89. And then I go for holiday, and I come back, I'm doing school runs, I'm going to work, and then we go to market, and people just assume that going to work and going to market is exercise. No, it's not. And then I find out that by the time I come back from holiday, and maybe I was on leave, I took the children out, we ate here and there, after like 3-4 weeks, I check my weight again, I'm like 95. I'm actually overweight. Check my BMI is above 30. And I really have to do something about it.
And then you exercise. Now let's talk about balanced diets. How do we do that, Dr. Ketch? In a daily meal, how do we have balanced diet?
It's not the easiest thing. It's also not the hardest thing. You just have to make an effort. If you say to yourself, my health is my priority, we know that our diets contribute to so many different things. I mean, there are so many lifestyle. There's the 3-4-50 paradigm. It's been found out that there are 3 lifestyle factors, the things that we eat, whether there is exercise or not, you know, that actually contributes and cause about 4 diseases that cause about 50% of deaths. Worldwide. And there are lifestyle, just basic lifestyle things that we can do to stop this. And so one of it is diet, balanced diet. So how do you make sure that you have a balanced diet? You have to make sure that essentially the different food groups, so everybody knows we have proteins, we have carbohydrates, we have, just to make sure that you have, not all food groups are created equal. Not all proteins are created equal. For instance, if I had on a tray, if I had red meat, if I had chicken, if I had fish, There are some that are better than others.
True.
If I have fish, fatty fish, that's, you know, very rich in omega-3 fatty acids, that's much better, because apart from the fact that, you know, it's the kind of protein that my body needs, it also has some nutrients that are also good for my heart. They help to protect my heart against, you know, heart diseases. Now, if I have carbohydrates, if I have a meat pie, if I have cake, and if I have ofada rice, what's a better option to choose? A better option would be to choose that meal that has, you know, the ofada rice with it. If I have veggies, different ones. So it's to know the different things to eat. So when we're looking at a plate, when we're talking about the architecture of a plate, it's to make sure that at every meal, you must have your vegetables, half of that plate. And really, it's not difficult. Dr. Brown was talking about how affordable these foods are. Fruits in season, vegetables in season. You don't even need to start looking for all those highfalutin, oh, they said, okay, that kind of lettuce or kale or whatever it is. Our regular vegetables that we find in the market, the one that is in season, focus on that one. When that one goes out of season, move to the next one. And so in your plate, you should have half of that plate filled with fruits and with vegetables. And so if you have vegetables and then you have like maybe an apple or a slice of, you know, pineapple or something later after the meal to have that, that's perfect. And then you divide the other half of the plate. A quarter of that plate should now have your complex carbohydrates. Your complex carbohydrates can be that rice, that local rice. It can be that oatmeal that you've decided to make, you know, and use it as swallow. And then the final portion should now have, you know, the fish or the meat or something. And then in the mornings, what's something healthy, a balanced diet to have, you know? And now that plate that I've actually described has everything. It has your proteins, which is, of course, you know, the meat or the fish. You know, it has your carbohydrates, which is, you know, the swallow or the rice. It has your fats and oil, which of course is what you're going to use to cook the vegetable.
Sure.
Remember that it's just a little vegetable. And the focus, now a rule of thumb is that for vegetables, if you look at it and at room temperature, that vegetable is, you know, you can see that it's not liquid at room temperature. That vegetable or that oil is really not very good for you. That's a rule of thumb to use. So it has that, and then it also has your minerals, which are also in your vegetables. It's also in the salt that you use. Now, another rule of thumb, when you're using your salt, if you add your salt to your food and you can actually taste the salt, then it's too much. It's just meant to enhance the taste. You're not supposed to have too much of it. So I like to do a lot of rule of thumb so that it, you know, just tells people what to do. What's a healthy breakfast? So in the mornings, if you're rushing to go, oatmeal, because it's so full in fiber, you take that and you're good to go for practically the whole morning, you know, for the whole day. Now, the jury is still out. You had asked me a question before about how many meals in the day. The jury is still out, really. Should it be 3 meals? Should it be 6 meals? The jury is out. You know, we have had several studies that say, oh, you should eat at least every 3 hours. Some other people would say just have your 3 regular meals. But the point is, whatever it is you eat, how many times you decide to eat, the portions should just make sense. When we have said, like, just a quarter of the plate for your carbohydrates, it doesn't mean pile it this high. It just means a regular portion. And so you can eat every 3 hours. Really, you can.
Really?
You have your breakfast, and then you have a quick snack around 11. But that snack, what should it be? It should be some fruit slices. It should be a handful of nuts or something like that. And then you have your lunch, and then you have another snack around 3, really, which is about the time that energy levels kind of, you know, tend to slump when people keep looking at their time. Oh, is it time to go? Is it time to stay? You know. And then you have your dinner, and then you might even want to have, you know, a just before dinner snack. Now, the before dinner snack, just make sure that it's not up to 3 hours. You know, make sure it's at least, you know, 3 hours before you eat. You shouldn't be eating, you know, anytime later than that, you know, for other reasons, as it were. So if you keep with this, focus on your portions, focus on making sure that for all the different food groups, you're focusing on the ones that are the most nutritious. Even if you're going to do red beef, for crying out loud, you know, you can trim out, because sometimes you look at the meat, you can see all the fats around it. Even on chicken, you know, so we've said chicken is healthy. That doesn't mean that if you see all the fat in the chicken, you eat it with it. Trim out all the fats, you know, and then with that, you will be eating your balanced diet, making sure that all the food groups are there, but represented in such a way that they nourish your body as opposed to doing something else.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for my speakers. Dr. Brown, let's have your final word.
Well, weight management has been played down in Nigeria, in Africa. Each time we travel out of the country, like we go to westernized country, you see old people, have 70, you know, walking in the park, you know, and all of that. And we will be laughing at them, say, ah, see, Agbaya, just a waka, you know, say when your children look after you. No, they are, and they outlive us. Now, because we have westernized our diets and our lifestyle, we've never westernized our diet, we have to westernize our lifestyle. There's no running away from exercising.
How to balance it.
Do not deceive yourself. Don't say you're too big, you're too fat, I'm too short. It's for children. It's as my people will say, iberibe is useless. No, exercise has come to stay. That is just final. And when you're trying to lose weight, you must always consider, number one, what am I eating? Number two, what should I be eating? Like Dr. Ketch said, what portions should I be eating? When and how should I be eating them? It is important that if you're going to eat a meal, sit at the table, concentrate on what you're eating, chew your food properly, and then take time to eat. Don't rush your meals, all right? And what are the things I'm supposed to remove from my diet? Alcohol, sugar, refined flour, and all things like that. How much activity should I be getting? What are my goals? Set realistic goals for yourself. Do not tell yourself that, oh, I'm getting married in June, so I want to lose 20 kg in 2 months. If you don't chop off a leg, it's not going to work. You just have to find a way to exercise. And then weight management is a long-term project. It's not something you do in 3 months and then you're deal with. You have to keep at it till you die. Also, take into consideration people who have chronic diseases, especially with your diet as well. If you're diabetic, what can I eat? If you're hypertensive, what do you eat? If you have any other disease, or if you're taking medication, what are kind of drugs kind of foods I should avoid when I'm taking this drug or that drug? But keep at it and don't give up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown. I'm so happy to have you on HealthWise. We've learned so much from you. I'm sure you agree with me. A round of applause for Dr. Brown.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we stay here on HealthWise with Dr. Ketch. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the precaution segment of HealthWise. Weight management. Weight management is a long-term approach to a healthy lifestyle. It includes a balance of healthy eating and physical exercise to equate energy expenditure and energy intake. Developing healthy eating habits while using tips that will keep us fuller longer can be useful tools in weight management. Knowing what your body needs is important to weight management and can control overconsumption and underconsumption of food. Weight management does not include fad diets that promote quick, temporary weight loss. It focuses on the long-term results that are achieved through slow weight loss followed by retention of an ideal body weight for age, sex, and height. Methods of weight management. Increase protein intake, especially at breakfast. Increased dietary protein consumed at breakfast leads to an initial and sustained feeling of fullness during energy restriction compared to other meal times. Eat more soup. It has been shown that eating soup reduces total energy intake of a meal. Choose low-calorie foods. A moderate decrease in calorie intake will lead to a slow weight loss, which may be more beneficial for long-term weight management. Hope you had a nice time. See you same time, same station next week for another interesting episode. Bye for now.